The moon is currently at 19 degrees of Capricorn, and it's forming a T-square with Jupiter in Cancer, opposite, and Mars in Libra. So this is kind of intense. It's a passing transit with the moon there. The moon is kind of amplifying this square. Now with Mars and Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter does great in Cancer. You know, it's really helping us become in tune with our emotions. I think it's helping us do a lot of the emotional healing that we're all working on. It can also be kind of intense emotional feelings there. And with Mars in Libra, okay, and Jupiter kind of squaring that, whatever these emotions are, it could be causing us to have more separation, more frustration in our relationships, perhaps, when it comes to our art and the creative projects that we're working on. Because Libra, of course, is ruled by Venus. Venus, of course, is the goddess of love, relationships, and beauty, the arts. Social. It's very, very much has to do with like social law, right? Whatever this emotion is, this big emotion in Cancer, it could be causing the Cancerians, or all of us really, to retreat like a Cancer. Like the little crab that kind of sidesteps out of its little cave and checks out what's going on, and then it gets emotionally triggered and it retreats back into its little cave, its little sand cave. That could be what's going on. Okay, Mars. Now, I like to look at Mars in combination with Venus. I like to look at everything in combination with its opposite, because everything in Hermeticism does have an opposite. And so Venus and Mars, Venus is together and Mars is separate. Okay, Venus is love, Mars is war. Now, you can't have war, you can't have hate without love. It could also be spurring us into action. Now, okay, so with having the moon there, the moon is activating this, kind of bringing together this square, this T-square that's going on. And in Capricorn, it could be making us feel a little isolated, a Saturn ruled sign, a little Saturnian, a little cold maybe. Okay. But at the same time, this energy could also be stirring us and spurring us into action with Mars there. It could be that all of this healing work that we've been doing with having Jupiter in Cancer, and this slow moving square with Mars that's approaching. Mars, of course, the planet of action, of decisiveness, of movement. So if Mars is about separation, sometimes that separation is just separating your ass from your chair and getting you moving and getting you going, right? It's about action. So it's about cutting. It's about severing. Sever your ass from your chair. Get up and get moving, right? So whatever this is, it could be with the moon kind of pulling onto it. It could be spurring us into action. But let's see what the tarot has to say about it, huh? Hi guys, if you don't know me, my name is Toad, and I'm here with your daily transmission from the Toad realm. Let's get into the cards. Why don't we start with a little Lenormand. Le Petit Lenormand. House. House is the first card here. Correlates to the King of Cups. Number 4. House and Garden. Isn't that like a magazine? Home and Gardens? Something like that. Okay, for some of us are just having a really nice day at home, working in the garden, you know. This seems like kind of like a dichotomy, though. Let me see. Someone could be changing communities. Nice. Yeah, someone's got some social anxiety or something's going on here. Hold on. Reveal. Gossip. So we have garden, mice, book, and bird. Okay. All this kind of coming up, and then with having Mars in Libra, seems like someone is worried about some gossip or some talk, possibly amongst their friends, their community, their social situation. There could be a lot of screwing. Something could have been revealed, or something needs to be revealed. Bird or birds usually has to do with chatter, with gossip, with talking like that. Someone could have like ended a friendship or ended some sort of... This is kind of what I wanted to talk about, so I think it is prompting me. We'll see if it comes out. Okay, with Scythe. Yeah, it might take me a while to get this one out. All right. Dog and Crossroads. because it's early and I've been thinking about doing this for a while now, especially since last night. So let me just make sure that it comes out right, okay? It'll take me a minute. Bear with me now. Let's get into the tarot. All right, I'm definitely seeing a situation here. I know what I want to talk about, but I need to wait for it to like kind of come out right. How it works with the whole channel thing. Wait for my coffee to kick in. How the cookie crumbles today. Hi guys, if you don't know me, my name is Toad, and I'm here with your daily transmission from the Toad Realm. I am a tarot instructor, a tarot reader. I'm a Hellenistic astrologer, a channel, a medium, an artist. And I'm writing a book on these things. It's called The Toad Code, the cheat book for the game of life, because I've discovered that there are beneficial ways of using these things and not so beneficial ways. So follow along to find out more about the Toad Code. What I really want to talk about today, something that I've been really thinking about is, you've seen me post videos about the ego death, all right? I think especially my collective, I think everyone is really going through major ego deaths right now, but especially my collective. And I've been really thinking about the process of going from the Wheel of Fortune, to Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, and then to Temperance. Okay, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. I also wanted to talk about it in combination with the Four of Wands, my Toad Code card. So we're going to see if that comes out. In the past position, we have the Two of Cups, and that's clarified by the Star. It's also clarified by the Six of Pentacles. There was a connection, okay? Or there is a connection here. With the Two of Cups, the Six of Pentacles, it's mutual, or it was mutual. There was trust involved, and this was just in the past, right? But then currently the problem is someone's running away from it, is what I see. So I am seeing a situation with a runner, okay? I'm seeing the runner, and I'm seeing Judgment reverse, clarifying that. So could be an avoidant. Everyone's talking about this whole avoidant and anxious attached, anxious avoidant, anxious attached shit. The runner and the chaser dynamic, it's a thing. Especially amongst the divine counterparts, there's this kind of push-pull energy that happens until they can both surrender and fall in, and it becomes like this. So it'll go like this until it becomes like this. Does that make sense? Okay, anyway, I'll get to that another time. But someone is a running from what they know they gotta do. Judgment. It's your destiny. It's your calling. You got to rise up to it. There's something that someone is being asked to do, to rise up, to call to their destiny, and they are avoiding it. They are running away from it. Now, it doesn't have to be, it could also be that in general, that someone was open and faithful to the idea of love before. Someone knew that they deserved love in the past, and now they're running from that altogether. They're running from even the desire to want love, okay? The crossing cards here, which is the challenge. This is for today, but this is in general. You can watch these anytime. Whoa, huge rain. Crossing cards here is the Sun, and that's clarified by the King of Wands, okay? So this could be a reading for someone who identifies with the King of Wands. Could be a Leo, a fire sign, a masculine. Does not have to be any of these things. Could be a creative person. Could be a confident person, usually a passionate person, a fiery person, a sexual person, a boss. He could have a big ego, but I think the issue with him is a couple things with the Sun. The issue is seeing the light. He's having a big issue being positive, which sucks because this is his ruler. Well, if he's a Leo. We all have Leo somewhere in our charts. We all rule with the Sun. We all have a Sun. This is our power. It's our purpose. So someone, again, whoever this could be for all of my torchbearers, right? This is for all of my torchbearers. This is for everyone. So for some, there is an actual love situation that someone is running from. For others, it's the idea of us wanting to avoid love, or of us wanting to avoid the possibility of this being our destiny, of this being what we need to do, what we need to rise up and do. We are the torchbearers, and in order to be the torchbearers, part of the challenge is for us to keep our eye on the light, to keep looking towards the sun, to stay positive, to stay faithful, right? To keep our eye on the star. Because the issue right now is to drive forward. Whoever this is, He could be moving really slowly with the Knight of Pentacles and the Chariot. And this is all the crossing cards. It's 7 to 17. The star to get through the moon and then get to the sun. It could also be that the clarity, the truth, the union is something that the King of Wands is struggling with. I think it's just that someone here is feeling, with the King of Wands being the crossing card, less than confident today. Less than confident that he can have this, right? Less than confident that he can have it. So we run from it. Someone's running from their destiny because they don't believe that they can have it. That they don't believe that they can have the childlike joy, the union, the optimism, the happiness. Someone believes that they can't be happy. That's sad. It could just mean, too, that the challenge here is he's just moving slowly towards these things. Okay. Now, the base of the reading, what's below us right now, is the 10 of Wands and the 7 of Cups. With 10 of Wands, 7 of Cups, I clarified, got the 6 of Wands, the 10 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Cups. So the base of the reading, like the whole point of this reading is that someone's got something heavy that they're carrying around. Like, we're ready to drop everything. How someone has been living their life has become too much of a weight, has become too heavy, and they realize they're carrying something on their back or on their chest that needs to be revealed. 7 of Cups. This could have to do with something that is unclear that needs to be revealed. This could also be as well that the weight and the reason why we're running away is because of the unknown, because we're too scared to have faith. We don't have enough faith. 7 to 17 and 7 of Cups. We need to have faith and blast through the fog, the illusion. Okay, 7 of Cups is usually the one where we see, all of the different options and the clouds, right? It can be illusion and confusion, fogginess. And this is where it comes in. Like, I need to start getting really serious with you guys about the bigger message here, because it's very, very important. It's very important. As we approach the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, things are not going to be clear. You're not going to be able to see clearly which direction to go. You just have to have faith. That's the only way. Okay? I know it's a challenge. There's also something that someone needs to release. Someone needs to surrender. Someone needs to get something off their chest. It could be that someone is just so fearful that they're not going to get their emotional fulfillment, their material fulfillment, their happily ever after, and the house, the spouse, the kids, the dogs. This is when we don't have to worry anymore. This is when we can relax our nervous system because we know we're safe with our communities, with our families. The issue right here is either that someone needs to reveal this, or someone needs to just move forward, revealing it. Yeah, with the I forgot about the 6 of Wands. Yeah, the 6 of Wands, clarifying this definitely means that we need to reveal it. We need to reveal our desire. We need to recognize the desire within ourselves, right? 6 relates to the Lovers, and then 7, then we drive forward. So first admit to yourself what you want. We need to start recognizing that this is what we really want. If we just keep running from it and denying it, then you're never going to be happy. You're never going to see the light. You're never going to get to the sun because you won't have the faith to go through the moon. Okay. Now what's coming in from Source up here, it's saying 3 of Swords, Magician. Okay. And then we also have this Ace of Swords and the Ace of Wands. So this is what Spirit is trying to tell us. Okay. Someone needs to let in some sort of truth. Someone's been avoiding something with the 2. This goes from the 2 to the 3. Someone's been avoiding something, resisting something, blocking something, and they need to allow in the truth with the extra sword. Okay? We need to allow in some clarity, some truthfulness, some communication. We need to remember our power. This is the number one message from Source right now. It's saying that you have the power. Okay? You need to follow the fire. These are the 2 active elements here. So I think that Source is asking us to be active with our power today. Let me get one more on that. King of Wands again. Oh my God, guys. We have the King and the Queen of Wands now too. We've got the King twice. There it is. Yeah. See, I knew it. It doesn't necessarily mean heartbreak with the 3 of Swords. This is like the Empress. We need to get here. We need to get here, guys. We need to go from the blocking and the resistance to the allowing, because this is where life begins. And I don't think it's going to be bad. You just need to know your power. You're just fearful of it. The reason why you're staying at the crossroads and not taking action is because you're fearful of the Three of Swords. Yet we want the Three of Swords. We want to know the truth. We want the clarity. Let the towers fall. You know what I mean? Then we have the advice, okay? What Spirit is asking us to do and reminding us is to be strong, to not hold back too much, not be too reserved. All right, I think that's what it's saying with the strength coming reversed. I'm seeing judgment with the advice. Again, if the Seven of Swords and judgment, clarifying the Seven of Swords is the center of the reading, the first cards that we got, it's asking us to stop running from our destiny. You know what it is. By the time we get to judgment, we always know what it is. We always know. I think you know what you have to do. You know what you need to rise up to do. Okay? You need to start having faith. Either you're going to stay sleeping. This is a totemism. Either you will stay sleeping, living the life of the walking dead, or you will rise up and meet your destiny. Answer the calling. You have a calling. You have a calling. Rise up. All right. Now, also with that, I got the King and the Queen of Cups. Now, for anyone, again, this could be for anyone. You don't have to have anyone in your reality right now for this to make sense. This could be us becoming kings and queens of the heart, becoming kings and queens of our emotion, of the spirit realm. You know, we're becoming clear. Part of our purpose here is to realize that we're spiritual beings, that there is a war, a war on our souls. The biggest split that's happening right now is not the split between red and blue that they're making you think it is. It is the split between up and down. It's the split between the material and the spiritual, okay? Yeah. So that's part of our destiny, is just basically accepting moving up, accepting these truths. We're seeing the light, okay? This is also someone's being asked to allow in the truth. Someone is being asked to speak their truth. Someone's being asked to go after what turns them on, what lights them up inside, what inspires them. Someone needs to follow the fire. My torchbearers, okay? Why is this? I was asking again, why is this not happening? Why has this not happened? Between both of them. Whether or not you have met your divine counterpart or not, okay? First, you got to work on your abandonment issues before you get to the union, right? With the sun. Before you rise up and do what you know you got to do, you have to conquer your scarcity mindset. That's what I was saying earlier with the King of Wands and the Sun. King of Wands clarifying the Sun. You're not going to be successful. You're not going to win Six of Wands if you stay at the 5. You have to have faith. Go into the church, right? Giving and receiving. You have to come out of the scarcity mindset and the abandonment issues. And it could be two people. For some, that's just what we need to do in order to get into alignment, in order to finally attract our partners, in order to finally resonate with someone else so we can attract the partner that we desire. Or if it's a couple that already is there, then they need to stop feeling abandoned by each other. They need to, someone's feeling left out in the cold. Someone's feeling isolated. I think they're both isolating themselves. That's why they came reversed. Both of these guys, so if they are divine counterparts, or if it's just both aspects of yourself, you are feeling a little emotionally not good, right? Not feeling very balanced in your emotions because you have fear, lack. Because you have lack, you have scarcity in your mind. Because you're not looking towards the light. You're not looking towards what could be. You're not looking towards what you want to be, okay? Instead, you're focusing on what you don't want to be. You're focusing on what you're fearful of. 5 relates to the devil, and it's all about fear, okay? What I'm seeing is this question and this crossroads of someone, whether or not to completely run away. And this could be running, I am of course seeing running from a relationship with the 2 of Cups coming out, but I'm also seeing running from a community, running from, because the 2 of Cups can be partnerships. It can be friendships, right? I see the Three of Cups. There's something about someone running from their communities, because this is what happens when, and this is a whole part of my teachings. I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness. I've been thinking a lot about the Hanged Man. It goes justice, the Hanged Man, death, and then temperance, right? Forgiveness is a huge part of the Hangman. It's a huge part of what is necessary before we can fully transform with death, before we can be reborn with temperance, before we can find reunion and harmony and the middle way and moderation, okay? We need to forgive. We need to forgive ourselves, and we need to forgive others, okay? And this has a lot to do with my Four of Wands, my Toad Code, okay? And this whole idea of coming out of the walls of the city. Okay, so this is what I really have been wanting to talk about. And I think I'm ready after getting all of these messages. I know this is a really long one today, guys, but this is very important. Justice, Hangman, death. The wheel, justice, Hangman, death. Okay? We start to finally see our cycles. We start to finally see our habits, our patterns. We start to recognize how, what our programming is. This is part of the Toad Code, right? This is the wheel of the zodiac. We start to see what our tendencies are. This is what I call our default settings. Our natal chart is like our default settings. We get to choose, we get to break out of it, but this is our default settings. So we start to see our generational cycles. We start to see our patterns. We start to see our habits. That's with the justice. And then we're like, oh shit. This is when we see ourselves clearly, okay? This is when justice is served upon ourselves. Upon ourselves. We see the mistakes we've made. We see how everything we have done has gotten us to right where we are right now. And all of the choices, all of the actions we take are going to have clear consequences for the future, okay? That's what justice is. This is judgment upon ourselves, all right? And then what do? We hang ourselves on the tree. We take accountability for what we see clearly. We take accountability for our actions. We choose to see things differently. We choose to not just blame others. We choose to not just run away. Remember that Seven of Swords? We choose to not just run away anymore. We choose to not point the finger. We turn the finger around. We take accountability for our actions. We choose to see things differently. We choose to not just blame others. We choose to not just run away. Remember that Seven of Swords? We choose to not just run away anymore. We choose to not point the finger. We turn the finger around. Okay? We feel it. And a big, huge part of the Hangman is forgiveness. Forgiveness for ourselves and forgiveness for others. Okay? This also relates, again, to my Four of Wands. Only once we reach the acceptance and the surrender do we go through transformation. And then we find the real forgiveness, and we find that we are forgiven. This is when we ask for forgiveness because we see clearly, and then we find that forgiveness exists and it's the only way. Now, this is what I've been thinking about. This whole forgiveness part is a huge part of the ego death. It's a huge part of the ego death, and it makes us start to become aware of this type of stuff, all right? That comes next, comes after temperance, all right? Then we got to go through the tower moments, then we truly find faith, okay? Anywho, if you have not fucking dove down into your darkest of dark, you have not truly found God. If you're not willing to go there, then you're not ready. Look, what I see, this is what I was talking about with like running from the community. There's someone, and this happens. This happens when we're shameful. When we are unable to see ourselves clearly, when we're unable to accept the shame and the guilt and the regret of what we have done, we will never transform. We will keep running with that Seven of Swords. We will keep running. We will run away from love. We will never get to temperance, okay? Temperance is when, after the surrender that I was talking about, when we return with the, you come back into reunion come back into union, the divine masculine and the feminine. We have the emperor and the empress here at the heart. Okay, they realize their purpose, they reconcile, they find the middle path, right? They compromise and they come together. Okay, we don't get here. We're not going to get here if we keep running from the transformation, if we keep running from accepting the truth, from accepting our own issues, from accepting our own mistakes. Okay, that's what it is. We need to accept that, and we need to come out with it. So not only is it like, okay, you can accept it and you can see it, but then, and like recognize it within yourself. You can even forgive within yourself. But then a lot of times people will stop there and they'll still run because they don't want to go to the other, whether or not it's a partner or some sort of relationship where there needs to be some sort of justice served, or if this is with an entire community. Because sometimes people tarnish their own reputations so much. We make mistakes because we have to. When we're doing the big generational fucking shit, when we are breaking generational trauma, when we are breaking generational karma, that means we have to tarnish our reputation. That means we have to make the same mistakes. That means we have to go into the darkness. Okay? That means we have to do something that then allows us to need forgiveness. Does that make sense? Okay? So, fuck. This is so intense, guys. This is so intense. So a lot of my collective, a lot of my torchbearers, we're the ones who have gone into the most darkness. We're the ones who have had the most things to regret. The most things that we need to make amends for. Because if we get through that, if we actually go through that transformation, then we are really the torchbearers. Then we can really guide others through this process. This is a hard fucking process. This is the hardest fucking process. It's one of the hardest fucking processes. Okay? And so one thing that we do is, okay, we might recognize it within ourselves. We might see the mistakes that we've made, but we're still, and we can forgive ourselves and know that and be like, I'm not going to do that again. But then we don't ever go to our community. We don't ever go to our people and ask for forgiveness. We just run and we start again. Some people, they just keep running. They just keep running. I'm going to move towns. I'm going to change towns again. I'm going to change communities again. I'm going to change friends again. I'm going to change partners again. Okay? Instead of being like, I'm sorry. Instead of being like, this is what I've been going through. And a lot of that is because they're afraid that they're not going to get accepted. Because there's a lot of fucking assholes out there. There's a lot of people out there that are unwilling to sit at the table with sinners and tax collectors. And you know why that is? Because they have been unwilling to see their own darkness. Because they are not going to be the torchbearers. If you're refusing to sit in the dark, then you're not going to be comfortable with your darkness. You have to keep running from it for a while. Good luck with that. This has to do with my Four of Wands. Okay? This is what coming out of the walls of the city is about. And no, it doesn't mean, so if there's someone toxic in your friend group, or if you have a toxic partnership, all right, forgiveness does not mean putting yourself in situations that are toxic and that take from you. It does not mean draining your cup. What it means, you can forgive someone without allowing them to continue to do something to you, all right? So you can have forgiveness for people in your community, even if they are still doing the same actions that you do not support. Say you have a nice friend group, a nice social situation, okay? And one person starts to make mistakes. One person in your friend group who you love starts to fuck up. A lot of people will just walk away. A lot of friends, they'll turn away. But what they don't realize is that what this person who is fucking up is doing is attempting to break cycles. They might not even know that. We don't. When we start to go into the darkness, no one chooses addiction. Guys, no one chooses addiction. This is a totemism. At the level of the lovers. At the level of the lovers. This is the one that leads to the devil, right? This is toe code stuff. We don't just choose to be... It's like you don't just wake up one day and say, I'm gonna be a heroin addict. You don't just wake up one day and say, I want to do this. You don't. It comes from taking the tempting path. Taking the easier road. Little bits and little bits at a time. Little bits and little bits at a time until the next thing you know, boom. You're in chains. You're in chains. Hold on. So, it's not that much of a risk if there's someone in your community who's not doing so well. It doesn't mean that you have to, like, spend one-on-one time with them all the time, you know, but do not reject them. Do not reject them. Sit at the table with them. Sit at the table with them. Allow them. This is why, you know, Christ consciousness... There's difference between, like, Buddha consciousness and Christ consciousness and Krishna consciousness. They're different vibrations, different frequencies, okay? But Christ consciousness is different because it involves blessed are the meek. It has to do a lot with forgiveness. It has to do a lot with this. This is Jesus on the tree. This is paying for your sins. Justice, and then the payment, and then what happens is you die. So Christ consciousness has a lot to do with forgiveness, all right? And there's a reason why we don't actually really find Jesus, you know, we don't find Christ consciousness until you've been through some serious darkness. If you think you found it, it's not real. It's blind faith until you've actually hit rock bottom. The only way to find the rock, you always hear Christians talk about the rock. I never knew all of this until I started studying this stuff because I started channeling it, right? I started channeling Christ consciousness before I even found out what it was. But you have to find that rock, okay? This is why it has to do forgiveness. This is why too, this is part of what I've been thinking about a lot over the past several days. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous, and these things that part of the 12 steps requires you to go and make amends with the people that you've wronged. There's a reason for this. I gotta blow my nose. Because once you've really been in the darkness, and this is the cool thing, is that the more addiction that you've actually had, the more struggle that you've had with the devil, the longer the good on the other side, the more utopia you are about to find, the more sun you are about to get to. Because if you haven't gotten so far into this, if you've been denying this, if you haven't quite gone there yet, then it's still coming. You know what I mean? Anyway, the reason why we need to go around and make amends with the 12 steps is because once you get to that darkness, once you get so far and you realize that it's just run, you don't want to run anymore. You don't want to be at the 7 of Swords anymore. You don't want to do this anymore. You don't want to run from our past. The truth about my past, impossible. She'd turn away from me. He's holding back, he's hiding from what I can't decide. Why won't he be the king I know he is? The king I see inside. Lion King. Okay, you have to stop running. You have to go and make amends. That's what forgiveness is. And it doesn't mean that, like... And the bigger reason behind all of this has to do with the astrology and what's to come. And I did talk about how us that are doing this work, that are doing the forgiveness work, that are activating this Christ consciousness, as well as the Buddha consciousness, as well as the Krishna consciousness, as well as, you know, we're raising our kundalini, okay? The ones who are going to be the torchbearers, the ones that are fighting our own, the ones that are really doing the work, okay? We're the ones that are going to lead others through this dark time. And the thing is with Uranus and Gemini, the bigger picture of Uranus and Gemini has to do with our communities. It has to do with, so there's the little spins, which first it's our personal. First it's us. First it's the union of the halves within us, okay? Then it's the partners. Then it's like our romantic relationships. Then it's our friendships and our family. Then it's our greater communities. And then it's with the world. Then it's the big collective spins. And in the big collective spins, if we don't come together, if we keep separating man and woman, dark and light, good and bad, then we won't be able to withstand the darkness when it comes, when it cracks down again. And it's going to crack down again. So all of this and how it relates to the reading that I did today, this is deep, powerful truths that are very much needed. We need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive others. We need to be coming together with our communities. We need to stop rejecting people, you know. We need to allow others the room to heal, the room to forgive, the room to apologize. That doesn't mean that you keep allowing yourself to be hurt, but that doesn't mean that if someone in your community is struggling, if someone has made mistakes, that we don't give them space to redeem themselves. Redemption is real. Redemption is necessary. Forgiveness is real. Forgiveness is necessary. These words, redemption, forgiveness, the rock, there's a reason why. Are you guys getting it? Drop a comment if you get this. Quit running. I know there's more I gotta say about this, but it's just gonna have to keep coming up. I don't know. I hope that this makes sense. I saw 444 on the timer. Hit me up if you guys want a personal reading. Please ask questions if you have any.